Hi, y'all. So I'm here to answer a question because I did ask people if they had questions. And they wanted to know about Ava from diagnosis to now, I guess. So Ava got diagnosed pretty early. She was 2 years old. What had happened was I went to the doctor, and I was going to a doctor in like the area, like a clinic. I didn't know no better. It was just convenient. And I got a new job and it changed health insurances. So I had to pick a different doctor in the clinic. Like the first doctor was cool, but this time I had to pick a different one and we did not get along. And I said, she's not talking. That's all I knew. She also wasn't hitting milestones because I had this app. I was a first time mom. I was a late in life mom. And there was this app that told you their milestones, like what they should be doing at 5 months or 6 months. She wasn't meeting her milestones, nor was she talking. So I expressed this to this doctor, right? And she kept giving me like these bullshit excuses. And they had like all these people in line and they were just like running us through these doctor's appointments with like the basics. And she wasn't really taking into account what I was saying. She didn't rub me right. So I waited till the next doctor's appointment because, at a young age, they're all close together. And I said, I think I need to call early intervention. And she kind of mocked me. And she's like, you can call early intervention if you want to, but I don't think there's nothing wrong with her. Blah, 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 blah. And me and her went at it. I left that doctor's office, never went back. I didn't realize, because it was my first kid, that you can call early intervention yourself. You don't need no doctors, no referral, or nothing. So now we have early intervention here. We have speech. We have the regular, developmental early intervention. And they kind of said there's something else going on here, right? And she still wasn't talking. So now I had moved to another job. So I had better insurance. Not the greatest, but better. And I moved to an HMO. I like HMOs because everything's in-house. So I moved to an HMO, and this lady, she was the best doctor. She was Ava's doctor for 2 years, and then she retired. But she said, she had me do this questionnaire. Most of the answers were no. And she's like, look, she might have autism. And I freaked out, and she was like, I'm not saying she does, but she might. So here's a referral to a developmental pediatrician. So we take the referral. And then it was like 8-9 months out, right? So I was like, no. So I joined the cancellation list, and within 2 months, we go, and I'm thinking she ain't autistic. You know what I'm saying? Not that I knew a damn thing about autism. I didn't. So she, in 20 minutes, she says she's moderately autistic. Okay, I flip out of the parking lot. What does that mean? Well, now early intervention's also sending, I had to pick an ABA agency to come to the house, right? So she's learning, but she's still learning at kind of a snail's pace, her own pace. And we just kind of go there. At 3 years old in Massachusetts, the feds don't pay anymore. Now it's down to the school system. So I got an IEP from the Boston Public School. I had a horrible experience with the Boston Public School system. And when we did the IEP, the lady was talking to me all kind of condescending, like I didn't know shit, which I didn't know shit. So I was feeling really unprepared and not knowing what the hell to do. So I found me an advocate. I paid the advocate out of my pocket. And at that meeting, all of a sudden her tone changed. And it was a bunch of white women. And they probably been doing this for 20 years. And they're like, yeah, we're going to give this chick whatever we want to give them. And she wanted to give me a school that I knew was a bad school. I was not having it. So when the advocate showed up, her whole tone changed. I forgoed the summer to get the school I wanted, which we did get. But then I ran into another autism mom that lived in Boston. And she told me about the Autism Center, 40 hours a week of ABA. And I felt Ava could really use that because her skills were really, really behind. They're kind of still really behind, but at the time she's about to be 3. So me and my road dog autism mom, the first mom I met who had a daughter, we met on my autism team, and I haven't been on it since I met her. And on my autism team, you can't create a direct message or something. So she created this dummy email so we could get each other's number and started texting, and we met, and we've been friends ever since. Her daughter was nonverbal at the time. Ava was nonverbal at the time. Now her daughter talks, but not conversational. Anyhow, so I told her we need to meet other people in the same situation. In early intervention, Ava had this OT, Melody, and she was the bomb. She, some people are really good at their jobs. And she would send me a calendar every month of the things of autism events that were going on in the greater Boston area. So we started going to those together. And some of them were, and some of them weren't. Most of them weren't. And then there was one for Autism Sprinter. They had, those jumpy places. Sky Zone was opening up 2 hours early on a Sunday just for autistic kids. At one point, Ava liked the little jumpy jump place. We went for a birthday party. And now she can't stand it and she's scared of it. I don't know why. But anyways, me and my friend go to the jumpy jump place with our kids. Now here's the beautiful part. My friend's not really social. So she watched the kids. But at this place, she watches the kids, which is great because Ava's all over the place. She'll go out the front door. I got a chance to socialize and meet people. So the woman who is the CEO who started Autism Sprinter, I couldn't figure out how to pay. So I called and we had a 2-hour conversation. She gave us free tickets. Still good friends to this day. She introduces me to another autism mom who also has a girl, but her daughter talks. And she's like, well, I don't like Boston Public School. I'm not sending my child to Boston. I said, well, where do you send your kid? And she says, an autism center. And she said, go down there. They're new in town, so there's not a waiting list. So me and the BFF autism mom, let's say that was a Sunday, we were in the office that Friday. So we had the meeting and I liked it. So we get there, we have the meeting, and I like the fact that they didn't say they'd cure your kid. Like selling you snake oil. You really got to watch out for the snake oil. This kid, as far as I know, there is no cure for autism. There's not a cure. There's help for skills. There's help to, if they don't know how to eat and potty train and, get their skills because maybe they just learn different and have to be taught different. There's a whole stream of things, but there's no cure per se. So she wasn't peddling no cure. We both liked what we were hearing. My friend had the good insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I did not. So my friend, her daughter got in within 2 weeks. I talked to the insurance lady at this place, and she's like, I talked to the insurance lady, and she's basically saying, you have the worst insurance going. Do you want to fight? I said, oh, yeah, I'll fight. And she said she had another parent that didn't want to fight them. I was like, whatever. So she told me what to do. She told me to call Massachusetts Insurance Commission. I did everything this lady did. This was my first bout of advocacy and learning how things work. So after all the drama, so my aunt used to work for insurance. So she always says top down, right? So I couldn't figure out a VP's email address or anything, but on their website, they had a VP of media relations or something. So I emailed her, in the subject line, this health insurance denies autistic toddler benefit. So I emailed her and she gets back to me in 5 minutes. And I email what's going on. She has the operations director of this insurance, call me and stuff. Because every time I talk to customer service, every time I talk to someone, they were trying to convince me not to do the 40 hours a week. It is costly. It is costly. But here's the rub. I don't care that it's costly. I was looking out for my daughter. You know what I mean? They wanted me to do the home, which there's not enough people out there to give my daughter 40 hours a week. We were supposed to get 10 hours when she was at early intervention. The most we could get is 5. So I wasn't trying to fight that battle. So a month later, she started. So that battle was won. Many more to be fought. Believe. I didn't feel the autism center was the end all to be. I don't trust nobody. So I kept a firm watch on what they were doing, how she was progressing or not progressing or whatever. But there's certain things, like an autism center is not a school. And now the health insurance is involved. So they're supposed to be working on behaviors and stuff like that. So me and the autism center had a run-in because I was like, y'all are not communicating the way I need you to. And then what happened, Ava had a seizure. Her first seizure was when she was 4. Game changer at this point, right? So she has a seizure. We're in Boston Children's Hospital. It happened at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. I didn't know what to do. I was spazzing out. We didn't have anything with us. We just put her on the ambulance and went to Boston Children's Hospital. Then they put her in Keppra, and she was supposed to get an MRI. We go to the hospital like a month and a half later to get the MRI. And she has a seizure when they're doing the intake. All right. Now this scared the shit out of me. They took her, they delegated me outside. There was like 1,000 doctors or whoever the hell was in the room. I thought my baby was dying. I'm crying, like snotty crying. They asked me, did I need like a priest or what? I said, bring me whoever. They social worker, bring me them too. Whoever you can bring, because I was losing my mind in that chair where my baby looks comatose and all this and that. So the seizure stuff has been a big thing on and off for the next, she's 4 years. Knock on wood, she hasn't had one in a year. So the thing about it is with these seizures and her not being verbal, I don't know how much the seizures affect her. Meaning, is there regression in development? Is there regression in certain things? Like we couldn't tell, right? And then I also found, because it's hard to keep speech therapists, especially I think the Autism Center didn't pay that well. And kind of find out the first speech therapist was, well, she'll never talk, so I'm not going to work on that. And I don't give a shit if she's going to talk or not. You work on everything. Like I always feel like people come at my daughter like she's stupid, not having a better word, because she's nonverbal. She is very intelligent in a lot of ways. And I was talking to her teacher and I said, I really think she knows so much more than we give her credit. So over the years, the biggest thing was they had these 3 PEX cards, right? And they said she couldn't use them she couldn't do it functionally, right? It was all done, bathroom, and something else, right? That she was having trouble doing it. In my youth, there's turnover in the autism center. Like people are quitting all the time. You're getting new groups, new BCBAs, and they're like, well, we can't get her to do this. And sometimes I felt like they were lowering the line of goals to, that she supposedly could do before, that they couldn't prove she could do again. So one day the lady says she doesn't know her colors. She used to know her colors, and now she doesn't. And I'm like, that's what kind of kicked me into gear to start doing my version of homeschooling. I mean, you go to school, but we're going to do some stuff I took it upon myself to work on colors. Within a day, she knew her colors. Because I was like, these people are telling me what she can do, but can she really do it? Am I really challenging this? or testing this. So at this point at the autism center, we had a great speech therapist, right? Great. And she decided Ava needed a speech device. It took a long time. You have to do all this work, all this background work to get Medicaid, because we do have the secondary policy for Ava, to get them to cover this $5,000 speech device, which is literally a tablet with an app on it, right? So we have a Nova Chat. The same company owns Touch Chat on iPad for $300, but they charge the insurance company $5,000 for this iPad with an app on it. But within 6 months, she had 60 to 80 words. Now, mind you, they've been telling me that she couldn't manage 3 PAX cards. So that's when I'm like, okay, something ain't right or whatever. But I didn't really know how to pinpoint it. So then COVID hits. So now we're all screwed. I have to work my full-time job, get off work, and then get the BCBA on Zoom and start working with her on things. All the time that Ava's had other issues going on, gastro issues, sleeping issues. She's had sleeping issues for like 6 years. That staying up all night, waking up in the middle of the night, all the stuff that, why sleep is a torture thing, because I was losing my mind with no sleep. Which I noticed when Ava's getting off the bus. She also has low muscle tone. For 8-year-old, she cannot write. They're working on her grasp onto pencils and pens. So OT is working on that. And with the low muscle tone, she's kind of wobbly. She can take off her jacket, but she can't zip it up. She can put on her shoes, but she can't tie them if they have laces. So she has a lot going on. So during COVID, we did that until they let them back in, and she went back in, and the woman that was her BCBA at this point, who I love, left and moved to Texas. So now I had to deal with new BCBA, and I had another fight with the autism center because they discontinued 5 or 6 goals. I wasn't having it. So they put them back on. So one of the goals was vocalization, work on vocalization. And their thing was, if you don't see progress, the insurance company is not going to pay for it, right? And I called my insurance lady at their place at the autism center, and I asked, is that true? She's like, sorry about that. So I asked, is that true? And she said, yes, but not with your insurance. So when I went into that meeting, I basically told them, you're going to put all this stuff back on, or I'll call the Massachusetts Insurance Commission, this and the other. And the clinical nurse that's over them, because these are newbies, right? The clinical nurse that's over them was in the meeting I had with the autism center 3 or 4 years ago. So she knew I wasn't playing no damn games. And she overrid them and said, we will put it back on. So I wanted them to work on vocalizations. This isn't all a success only mission. I don't care if there's no progress. So within 2 weeks, she started doing E, O, or whatever. And they came to me all excited. And I'm excited too, but I was equally annoyed because this is the shit you want to take off her goals. But anyways, we changed locations in about 10 minutes to wait outside for Ava's bus. But anyways, my beef is I want to know as much or at least the same of what level my child's on so I can advocate for what they need to do. So once they told me she knew her colors and didn't know the colors, I was like, I don't like that. And I started working with her 20 minutes, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, 3 times a week. And I videotaped because a lot of people want to act like you're lying. If I say she said a word, they'll be like, yeah, she's just a delusional, nonverbal autism mom, mom of an autistic. I have it on a video. When I send it, they're all surprised and shocked. So I videotape anything, everything. And nowadays, you have your phone. There's no excuse not to videotape. And the editor software and the editing softwares are free, and you can do it all on your phone. Get the little tripod and take, visual documentation of what your kid can do, because once they say she could do something that I didn't know could do, I tested out. Ava would not get on the swing. And then, well, this is school now. She's in school. She wouldn't get on the swing. And they sent me a note that she gets on the swing. So we went to the park that day, and I wanted to see if she got on that swing. And she did. So I always test. I don't trust nobody. So with that, Ava's development has been slow. I think we're up to I want to say under 10 seizures. So I don't know how many have affected her, how many didn't. Over COVID, she was having seizures every 3 months. So the thing is, Ava's 8 years old. In my view, I could be right, could be wrong. They're doing a 3-year eval in April. I'd put her at 4 years old. But I also feel she knows a lot of things that I don't know she know. And she surprises me all the time. But the mental development in, bracket is big. It is. And it gets bigger when they get older, depending, Some kids, I hate using it, are high functioning and very high educationally, but have social issues. We run the gamut with autism. We have everything. We have seizures, nonverbal, developmental delay, gastro issues, sleep issues. But I've come to acceptance. I accept that my child has autism. It's all the medical issues and stuff like that. I don't know any parent who wants their kids to have medical issues and all these outside extra problems or whatever. And yes, I wish her progress was a little faster, but I accept it's on her terms. She's in school now in 3rd grade. I asked her teacher yesterday, we had a conversation, and she said there's several kids in her class with her learning profile, which I'm glad she's not alone. There's only probably all boys, but anyways, she is number 1 with that speech device, though. She can navigate the hell out of it, and the school is impressed. She said there's another kid that's just getting a speech device, and he's Ava's age, and Ava's the superstar with the speech device. But so that was nice to hear that she's a superstar with the AAC device. I want her to keep growing at it because I feel she's a little stagnant, meaning say sentences, how she feels, if she's sick or whatever. She can navigate to stuff, but I want her to tell me how she feels, what she thinks, what she likes. So so they're going to start working on why, what, W questions with her. So I'm excited about that. I think she'll do well. And she's been doing well. Either way, I think I answered all the questions. If you have any more specific questions, put them in the comments. I'm sorry this is late. This is a person who asked me a question like a month ago, I think 3 weeks ago. So I hope that answered your questions. If you have anything else to ask me on any of my platforms, feel free to leave it in the comments. Autism Mom Strong.